What's up, Algebra 2? Here we are with the 4A summative review. Okay, working on our square roots. X squared minus 243 equals 0. Step 1, we're going to add 243 to both sides. X squared equals 243. And then, to get x by itself, to solve for x, we're going to square root x equals, now don't forget your plus minus on this test, plus minus radical 243. We're going to need to reduce our radicals. I would suggest, if you've been doing these, you probably have your own little tricks and tips and shortcuts and can kind of look at it and maybe figure out what should go in there. If you don't know, this is what I do. 243, and I cut it in half. 121.5. That tells me where to start looking on my list of perfect squares and work down. So 121, 11 squared, would be the first one to test. 243 divided by 121. Ooh, it does not work out perfect, so that is not the one we want. The next one down would be 100. Clearly, 243 divided by 100 won't work. Don't waste your time. 243 divided by 9 squared, 81, is 3. There it is. So we want to change that to 81 times 3. We can do the square root of 81. There's our plus minus 9. Can't do anything with the radical 3, leave it in there. Okay, not bad. We're off to a good start. Let's see if we can do another one with a number on x squared. Okay, we're trying to get the x squared part by itself first so we can solve with our square root. So we're going to minus the 1107. And then divide by 3. X squared equals negative 369. We're going to square root. Okay, how can we break down 369? Now, I just went through how I would process it if I didn't know what to do. Right, we would cut it in half, and then we're going to start looking at perfect squares at 184 or less. Okay, we start big and work small. That way the first one we find is it. If you start small and work big, yeah, 4 might fit into it. And then later on you figure out, oh, I can also do 9. Oh, I could also do like 36 or 25 or something else. Okay, you won't be done in one step. You might have to check the other part again and again and again. Whereas if you work big down, then as soon as you find one, you're done. That's guaranteed to be the biggest one. Now, after all that being said, you got a long ways to go because the first one that works on this is 9. 369 divided by 9, 41. Okay, we're going to put the negative on the perfect square, negative 9 and 41, plus minus 3i radical 41. Okay, 2 problems down, 6 to go. Hopefully both of those are very doable for all of us. Okay? And then you'll have another one of each type underneath of those to do on your own. Solve by factoring. Another 2 problems that I think that all of us should be able to do. Okay? We need to get everything on the same side first, though. So we're going to subtract this 24 over x squared minus 5x minus 24 equals 0. Now we're looking at what multiplies to negative 24 and adds to negative 5. Multiplies to negative 24 and adds to negative 5. Negative 8 and 3. That's going to multiply to a negative 24 and adds to a negative 5. So we'll have x minus 8, x plus 3 equals 0. We're looking for opposites. What makes each group equal 0? Because we have the zero product property. Two things multiplied to each other equals 0. The only way that happens is if one of the things equals 0. So 8 would make this one equal 0, and negative 3 would make this one equal 0. Okay. Second one of factoring. It's got a number in the front, 6x squared. Okay? Now it might look like it's easier to subtract that over. I'm going to tell you I would prefer to have a positive x squared, so I'm just going to subtract those two over. Minus 13x minus 5. So we have 6x squared minus 13x minus 5 equals 0. Now, when we have a number on x squared, we have an extra little bit of work to do. We have to do front times back. Okay? That's going to be negative 30. What multiplies to negative 30 and adds to negative 13? Okay, that came from 6 times negative 5. It's really tempting to do a 10 and a 3. But what's going to work for us here is negative 15 and positive 2. Okay, another little bit of extra work because we did the 6 times negative 5. Now we have to come through and divide by that 6. Okay, we're used to seeing one of these at least work out perfect. Neither one of these do. So let's reduce our fractions. 1/3. So we'll do a 3 in the front. 3x. And then it's a positive 1, so plus 1. Negative 15 over 6. We can divide those both by 3. Negative 5 halves. 2 slides up in front. We'll have 2x minus 5. Okay, now thinking about what makes each spot equal 0. Okay, we can set each one equal to 0 and solve it algebraically, a little two-step algebra. Minus 1 divided by 3. Or the shortcut is opposite of what we have in the back, so negative 1 divided by the front. Opposite of the back, positive 5 divided by the front. So we had negative 1/3 and positive 5 halves. Okay? And we should see that those match in the opposite signs that we had up here. 4 very doable problems for everybody. Quadratic formula, 9 and 10 quadratic formula. Okay, this is something you will need to know, have to have it memorized. Okay, why don't you take a second here to write it out up here in the top right corner. Ready, set, go. Alright, so we should have negative b plus minus big square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay, that's what we're going to be using. Need to know it. Okay, and it's going to be sneaky like this on the test. they're going to have that 7 over here or negative 5 over here just to see if you're paying attention. We need all of this on the same side equal to 0. Okay, and now you don't have to write out what A equals, B equals, C equals. I think it can help. I think it can be helpful. You don't have to. Okay? Then we're going to drop these in. I need to see a step where you are dropping all of these in. So we have negative of our B number, plus or minus, big square root, our B number squared, minus 4 times our A number times our C number, all over 2 times the A number. Okay? Then I need to see at least one work line after this, but before the answer. So some people like to do 2 squared is 4, 4 times 1 times 7, negative 7, we got negative 28, 4 minus negative 28, and then go to 32, or you just can type this in. I'd be careful typing this in, especially if it's a negative. Let's just go parentheses around it, just for good practice. 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 7. Under the radical, we got 32. So we got a negative 2 plus minus square root of 32 all over 2. Now we're a little tight on space on the worksheet because it's just front back, just like the test, and we have twice as many problems. So I'm going to find a little empty space up here to break down 32. We're going to go with 16 and 2, which should be 4 radical 2. So we'll have negative 2 plus or minus 4 radical 2 over 2. 2, 4, 2, they're all even. We can divide them by 2. Don't touch the radical 2. You can only reduce regular numbers with regular numbers. So we'll finish with negative 1 plus or minus 2 radical 2. Okay? Let's slide over to number 10. Quadratic formula with a number on x squared. Again, we need to get everything on the same side first. (3x squared minus 4x plus 5 equals 0). Alright, I'm going to choose to label my A, B, C. And now I need my work step where I'm dropping them all into the equation. We're going to have negative of our B value, negative of negative 4, plus minus, square root, negative 4 squared, minus 4 times 3 times 5, all over 2 times A, which is 3. Okay, again, be careful when we're typing this in. Parentheses, negative 4, parentheses squared, minus 4 times 3 times 5. We got negative 44 under the radical. Negative of a negative, so we'll have positive 4 in front, plus minus square root of negative 44 over 6. Okay, negative 44. Let's go with negative 4 and 11 for 2i radical 11. Okay, and then we have 4, 2, 6. We can reduce those all by 2 to be, well, not 4. 2 plus or minus 1I radical 11 over 3. Six problems that really weren't that bad. Very doable if you put your mind to it. Okay, next, the last type, complete the square. Now these do get a little bit scary, but the first one, I think, with no number on x squared, is also another very doable one for all of us. Okay, remember the key is the middle term, or the b term. You're going to cut that in half. Half of negative 12 is negative 6. Then you're going to square it. Positive 36. So 36 and negative 6 are going to play a big part in this problem. 36 is the number I want there, because that would make it be a perfect square trinomial. So you can either move the 40 out and then add the 36 to both sides, or we can think about what we need to do to 40 and do that to both sides to make it be 36. Okay, at the end of the test, my brain's fried. I think I'm just going to minus 40. Okay, so we subtracted the 40 out. Now I know I want it to be 36. Why do I want it to be 36? Because it makes it a perfect square trinomial that could drop down to x minus 6 squared. Think about it. What multiplies to 36 and adds to negative 12? Negative 6 and negative 6. Or x minus 6 times x minus 6, which is x minus 6 squared. Okay? So half of the middle number squared gets me to this number that I want to be here. And then when I squeeze down to parentheses squared, it's half of this number. Now we're going to square root. X minus 6 equals plus minus 2I. Don't forget about your plus minuses on this test. Add 6 to both sides. And we'll have 6 plus or minus 2I. Again, that one's not bad either. So that's 7 problems that are pretty doable for all of us, that we'd all have at least have a shot at getting correct. Okay? Now 14 does get a little trickier because of all the fractions. Okay, so we did a slightly different way in class. We're going to try another way here that might be a little bit easier. Let's see what you like best. Okay? Instead of factoring out this 3, let's divide everything by 3 on the first step. Okay? So now we just have regular x squared minus 4/3 x minus 2/3 equals 0. Now again, that middle one is the big key. Okay? Half of negative 4/3 is negative 4/6 or negative 2/3. And negative 2/3 squared is 4/9. So 4/9 is what I want to be in that third spot. That's clearly not 4/9. Let's get it out of there. Plus 2/3 plus 2/3. Okay, we want it to be 4/9, so let's add 4/9 to both sides. We wanted it to be 4/9 so that it would make a perfect squared trinomial, and we could drop it down to x, then half of this again, minus 2/3 squared. Now over here, you got to think a little bit. 2/3 plus 4/9. Okay, if I want to turn thirds into ninths, we're going to have to multiply it by 3. So 2/3 would really be, 2/3 would be the same as 6/9. So we would have 10/9. Okay, we're ready to square root. X minus 2/3. Alright, can't do the square root of 10, so we're going to go plus minus radical 10 on the top. I can do the square root of 9 on the bottom, that's 3. And then we're going to add 2/3 to both sides. They're both denominator of 3, so we can squeeze them together as 1. X equals 2 plus or minus radical 10 all over 3. Okay, that did work out pretty slick. I like that way a little bit better than our other way. Okay, so that's the whole test. You have your quiz, which is basically the test, just different numbers. We did this half of the review today in class. Okay, that's a test. You have another half to do on your own. That's another test. Okay, so you have lots of opportunities to practice and review. Let's take advantage of them. All right. Good luck on your review. Get it done, and best of luck on your test tomorrow.